Welcome back to another class on Evean Hazaer Halacha series. This will be part 14 of the shiur. Before we do begin the Halacha today in Siman Aleph in Halacha Yud, as a small introduction, as everyone is aware, I've been using a whiteboard to trying to transmit the Torah. Because when it comes to learning Torah, it's not only about listening to Torah, but it's also about understanding it and remembering what you learn. Now, since this is like a one-way street, because I don't really know who's listening on the other hand, and how many people do actually understand on the other hand, this is why I started using a whiteboard. However, Baruch Hashem, I was introduced to this whole technology business. I'm not tech savvy, I don't know how to use these things, but I was introduced to this, that I'm able to use it from my MacBook Air. I'm able to go ahead and actually put it up on the screen as you guys can see in front of you. So what I'm using is like this, wait. So basically this is my computer. So I put things inside here and everything pops out over there, which is very nice. So if I'm able to go ahead and transmit Torah in a better fashion or in a better way where you can understand and see it much more clearer, preferably this is the best method. When it comes to learning Torah, a lot of people don't know the secret. When it comes to learning Torah, you always want to use the best possible way to learn Torah. You know, you have certain books, I don't want to take out any book right now, but you have certain books where the print is not digital, but where the print is very, very small. It looks like little ants. Yeah, you could learn it, but it strains your eyes. However, you have other prints, today especially, it's beautiful, it's big, it's clear. You could see each word to itself. You don't have to strain your eyes. That being the case, when it comes to learning Torah, if we're able to learn Torah, where it's going to be transmitted in a way where we're going to be able to not only listen to what the rabbi is saying, but understand and remember, this is the better way to go. Now, there's an advantage of learning Torah not only through listening, but through actually seeing, because you have to remember, people have three senses. They can see, they can say, and they can hear. When it comes to learning Torah, you have to be fully involved. The benefit of this is right now over here, or with the whiteboard, just this is clearer, meaning, you know, I'm not the best, I don't have the best handwriting out there, but what I do want to say is over here is much more clearer, and I'll show you what I mean. For example, over here, if I'm going to be speaking about, like, say this, for example, right, I can actually highlight it, right? Or if I have to move down something, we can move down, you know, and we'll go over this Bezrat Hashem B'Neder today. But as you guys can see, it's so beautiful. I'm actually so excited for this. You have no idea. Writing everything on the whiteboard, you know, it's like you always want to make sure people understand the Torah beautiful. So when you're learning Torah like this, you're not only going to listen, because again, we're going to do the Shulchan Aruch inside first, and only afterwards we're going to come and see this Behetiv as a summary. But whenever you're learning Halacha, there are three things that should be happening when you're learning Torah. Number one is you see the words. Number two is you hear the words. And number three is you should say the words. So the benefit of this is, as we're reading, you could also read with me. So you're really in one learning, you're doing three chazarot, meaning you're reviewing three times. How? Because look, by me, let's say for example over here, by me saying I'm saying it, the ban is on the person, that's one. I'm saying it, the ban is on the person, that's two. By listening to myself, the ban is on the person, that is three. If you write it, they say writing it is like 4 times doing a review. But in any event, I just want you guys to know, I am very excited for this technology. You know, I didn't know about this. People did approach me and they said, Rabbi, can you do something where we can see it on like this type of a screen? And I just didn't know how to do it. Honestly, I don't know how to do it. I'm not tech savvy like I mentioned before. But Baruch Hashem, we're able to do it now. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn to the section where I'm going to teach the Torah. After we finish learning the Halacha inside, then we're going to come back here as a summary, okay? So yes, you guys will get to see me, if you guys are happy about that. And you guys are going to see the summary. So we're going to turn to me now. Okay, let me just put this normally. Okay. All right, so now we're going to start. Okay. Okay, Rabotai, a formal welcome Welcome to another class on Evean Hazaer Halacha series. We are continuing in Siman Aleph in Halacha Yud. This will be part 14 of the Shiur. Today, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to begin Pidchi Teshuvah in Ot Yudchet. This is amazing. You should know learning Torah is amazing. Rabotai, I honestly don't know how people can live without Torah. How people can live without Torah. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Somebody was speaking to me one time. He's like, "What's the problem, Rabbi? What's the problem? You just don't learn Torah." So I told him, I said, "Tell me, can a fish be without water?" He says, "No." I said, "Why? What's the problem? Just take him out. Take him out of the water. Give him everything that he needs. Give him money, car, woman, girls, drugs. Give him everything. Let him be happy in this world." So the guy's like, "Rabbi, are you serious? Fish, its whole source is water. How do you want to take him out from its source of life?" I said, "Beautiful. Same thing with us. Our source of life is Torah. It's called the Mikor Chaim, the source of life. Without Torah, Rabotai, there's no life." In any event, Hashem, I love you so much. I thank you for, giving us this technology. I mean, I'm very excited, Rabotai. I'm very excited. And the thing is, I'll be very straightforward with you. There are a lot of Gedolim that are very against technology. Very against technology. In particular, which I can understand because it destroys a lot of families, it destroys a lot of children, it destroys a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages are broken up because of it. I understand that. But I'm gonna just, Rabotai, in my humble opinion, I'm not saying that you guys should be chas v'shalom, doing everything wrong on the computer or on the phone or whatever you guys are using. But I wanna just put it to you like this. Is a car a dangerous thing? Yes or no? The answer is it depends. Is a gun a dangerous item? Yes or no? It depends. If you're using the gun to kill people just like that for no reason, it's dangerous. If you're using the gun to protect yourself, then it's good. If you're using the car to drive from place to place, to do mitzvah, to go to shul, to do shopping, to take your family places, then it's a good thing. A car is, thank God they made a car. But if you're using the car chas v'shalom, like you see today, that where people, they ram into other people, God forbid, then you're right, then a car is, the whole creation was for the wrong purpose. Same thing with the phone or with the technology. If you're using it for the correct purposes, then use it for the correct purpose, but you have to be careful. A lot of times when a person, they'll say, "Yeah, Rabbi, I listen to lectures on the Torah anytime, or on Biyakad, or on YouTube, or anywhere else, or on iTorah." By you listening, which is beautiful, but the question is, if you start weighing how much Torah you listen to how much filth you see, if they're not identical, we have a problem. Meaning to say that if you're learning only 1 hour of Torah on the YouTube or whatever, and you're watching 8 hours of filth, chas v'shalom, that's a very big problem. That, Rabotai, was not the whole purpose of technology. You want to be able to use technology in order to be able to benefit you in Avodat Hashem. But to use it to destroy you, that you never want to do. I had a whole question I'm not going to even answer because I don't know. And if anybody does know, you guys could leave the comments below. I'll get it, DJ Avram, he will send it to me. I didn't say the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam shakol niyeh b'dvaro. I didn't say I had something else, but I didn't say bracha shakol. Okay, I had a very big question, right? The people that create this technology, now in this technology there's a lot of garbage, there's a lot of filth, I don't have to tell you. There's immodesty, there's pornography, they teach you everything. Today is, Rabotai, the level that we've reached is the lowest of low. I don't know how much lower it could go. So the question is, the people that created technology and allow people to see all these things, are they going to have Gehenom or are they going to have Gan Eden? I'm asking you a simple question. On one hand, thank God we're able to learn Torah. Look, we're able to learn Torah. On the other hand, there's other millions of people that are doing everything just the opposite of learning Torah. So, what are you going to tell me? Yeah, he's going to get Gehenom and then he's going to get Gan Eden, or he's going to... Rabotai, it's a very good point. Anyway, Rabbi, I'm very happy. Welcome back to another class. We are going to do right now Siman Aleph in Halacha Yud. This will be part 14a of the Shiur. Like I stated before, we're going to begin Ot Yud Chet in the Pidchi Teshuvah. Now, in the Pidchi Teshuvah, before we're going to even start it, is going to tell you to look into Ber Heitev Sivkat and Chav Gimel. Now, since that's going to tell me to do that, we're going to have to do today Be'ezrat Hashem Sivkat and Chav Gimel in the Ber Heitev. Okay? So, before we even begin the Pidchei Teshuvah, we're going to have to do the Ber Heitev. So, today's class really is going to focus on the Ber Heitev, but it's from the Pidchei Teshuvah. However, since we are moving on to a new point in the Halacha, in the Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Aleph, in Halacha Yud, what I would like to do is just for us to get back into the into learning. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the Halacha in Siman Aleph and Halacha Yud from the beginning. Once we're going to reach the point, what we want to speak about today, that's what we're going to start working from, okay? But you have to remember, whenever you're learning Torah, you can't just start in the middle. You always have to go back and remember what the whole subject was speaking about and only then begin. Actually happened to me yesterday. It was beautiful. It was, I don't know if any of you guys learn Gemara with Rashi. And Rashi, besides when he explains the Gemara, sometimes he has difficulties with the Gemara. And he has questions and answers. So it was a pretty long Rashi. And one of the lines of the Rashi over there, he mentioned the name of Ravina. And he said that Ravina, etc., whatever he was bringing, and I was confused. And we were trying to figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out. So I said to the guys, I said, look, let's go back. Let's go back, because we were on page 16, on page 16, side 2. And I said, let's go back to page 14, side 1. So we did go there. Now, so we found Ravina. So one of the people over there was like, okay, this is what Ravina said. But then we went back to Rashi, we didn't understand it. What is Rashi saying? Why is he referring back? I mean, we had to find where it was actually in the Gemara. So I told the people, I said, look, let's do the whole page again. We start from the Gemara again till the end. Whenever you have 2 dots in the Gemara and another 2 dots, that is the whole sugya, that is the whole teaching. So I went from the beginning to the end, like it was 3/4 of the page. After we finished the Gemara with the Rashi, that was after like about 40 minutes, we went back to do the Rashi on page 16. When we looked on the bottom Rashi, you guys, I don't know if you ever played Tetris, that's what it's called, yeah, those blocks. Well, I haven't played that a long time ago. But everything fell placed into place. It was beautiful. You saw the guys that they were learning, like, wow, like, it makes sense. And why am I trying to bring out? What am I trying to bring out over here? Why am I saying this? Because in order to be able to learn anything, you always have to remember the beginning. Remember, always go back and from there have a flow. You could never start from the middle. Never start learning Torah from the middle because it's going to be very hard to understand where you are holding. Okay. Just a side point. If you paid attention, I said I drank the tea and then I remembered that I didn't say shahakol. So there is a sha'ar tea in the Chavetz Chaim in the Chelik, in Mishnah Berurah in the Chelik Bet. The sha'ar tea brings down that if a person consumes food and then he remembers that he forgot to say a bracha, let's say for example like in my case, and if you have still some water or something left over, say the bracha on that water or on that food, whatever it is, and automatically that bracha is also going to be for everything that you consumed. So this way it comes out that you didn't steal from Hashem. Okay, that's just a side point halacha. Okay, Rabotai, in any event, let's get back to work. I am right now in Siman Aleph in Halacha Yud in Evean Hazaer. Halachot of Priya Urviya, we're still there. In the laws of being fruitful and multiply. Fine. Halacha Yud says, I'm going to go through the halacha like I mentioned before until we get to where we have to be. Everything Rabotai, all this that I'm about to read, we already actually did inside with you guys many classes. We're right up to part 14. And every single other part had part 10, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like today, this is going to be part 14A. Fine. So the halacha says in Siman Aleph, in Halacha Yud, Rabbeinu Gershom Hichrim. Rabbeinu Gershom Mere Cherem. Al Hanoseh Al Ishto. And anyone who's going to marry on his wife. Aval B'Yivama Lo Hichrim. However, when it came to a Yivama, he did not make the Cherem. Vichin ba'arusa, and so too by the arusa. Comes the reminder, Rama says, Im einu rotzel liknos ela liftor. that specifically if he does not want to marry, but rather he wants to divorce her. Continues the Rama, V'hu adin, the same halacha is going to apply. B'chol makom sheish dichui mitzvah, in any place where there is a mitzvah that is being pushed away. Kegon, for example, sheshaha im ishto 10 shanim v'lo yalda, that if a person waited lo leinu chas v'shalom with his wife 10 years and she was not able to give birth, we're going to tell you over there that the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom is not applicable. Amnam, however, yesh cholkim, the rabbis that disagree with this halacha. Usfira lehu, and they held the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom noheg afilu b'mokum mitzvah, that the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom is applicable even in a place of mitzvah. Va'afilu b'mokum yibum, even in a place of yibum. V'tzarich lachlotz, and you do need to do chalitza. U'b'mokum she'en harishon bat girushin, in a place where the first one is not divorceable. Kigon, for example, she'nishtatet o she'u min adin ligarasha. Either she lost her mind or halachically he was able to divorce her. Ve'en rotza likach get mimenu yesh lakel, and she does not want to accept the get from him. One is able to go ahead and be lenient, lahatir lo lisacher, to allow him to go ahead and marry another woman. V'kol shken, and for sure im hi arusa, if she's in the arusa. Ve'en rotza linaseh lo ol liftor mimenu, if she does not want to marry him or she does not want to divorce him. In all of these cases, we're going to tell you you're allowed to be lenient and allow him to marry another woman. V'lo pashta, now that was all the Ramah. Again, we did all this Rabotai. You see how quick I'm going? Because we did everything in length or in detail. V'lo pashta takanato b'chol haratzot. Comes the Shulchan Aruch, and this is what we really want to start speaking about right now. The Shulchan Aruch says that this takana, the Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom, it was not widespread in every single country. Meaning to say, not every country went ahead and accepted the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom. Some countries, they have the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom. Some countries, they don't have the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom. Some accepted it, others didn't accept it. V'davka, comes the Ramah now. The Ramah says, V'davka b'mokum sheyadua shelo pashta takanato. Specifically in the place where we know that over there the takana was not accepted, there we're going to tell that there's no Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom in that city or in that country. Aval, however, min astam, but in general, presumably, noheg b'chol makom, but if we don't know if the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom is accepted in that place or not, we're going to tell you, min astam, in general, we're going to assume that it is accepted, and we're going to tell you that the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom is applicable in that place. Just put it to you very short. I was speaking on, somebody asked me a question on Shabbat. I don't know if he was serious, not serious, but when people ask you halacha questions, you have to be able to answer them. So one question, somebody asked me a question on Shabbat, and he was actually, we were sitting on Shabbat, and somebody said, he's like to me, Rabbi, my wife wants to know if I'm allowed to have a second wife. So the answer is halachically, that it really depends where you live, like we've been seeing it up to now. That if you live in a place where the Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom is accepted, you cannot do it. Even for Sephardim, I'm not talking about Ashkenazim, I'm talking about even for Sephardim. That if, let's say you live in Queens, or I don't know, in Brooklyn, or in places where everybody, the custom is to only marry one woman, you're not allowed to marry more than one woman. You could only be with one wife. But let's say if you move to a place, I don't know, Dubai. Somebody told me in Dubai they have 4 or 5 wives. Not Jewish people. I'm talking about Muslims or Arabs. But let's say you move to a place where they have more than one wife. So in that place you're allowed to have more than one wife. So that's what I answered him. I said she has to be okay with it. You have to have enough money to be able to sustain both of them, and at the same time you have to make sure that you give them their intimate rights, meaning that you have to make sure you're with her and with her. There's all laws up to how many times you have to be with each one in a month. In any event, so that was what I answered him. But the truth is, Rabotai, we see over here that the Shulchan Aruch says, where is the Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom applicable? That is specifically in certain places. But if in other countries it was not accepted, then we're going to tell you you're allowed to go ahead and you're allowed to remarry, not to remarry, you're allowed to take another wife on top of your wife. So let's do that one more time. The Shulchan Aruch said, "V'lo pashta tekanoto." Excuse me. "V'lo pashta tekanoto b'chol aratzot." The takana of Rabbeinu Gershom was not. It was not widespread in all the countries. Some accepted, some didn't. Nevertheless, comes the Ramah, and the Ramah says, "V'davka b'makom sheyadu shelo pashta." No, when are we going to say that you could go ahead and marry another woman on top of your original wife, specifically in a place where we know that the custom of Rabbeinu Gershom, meaning the takana, the institution of Rabbeinu Gershom, was never accepted in that country? Then we're going to tell you allowed to go ahead and get married to a second wife. Aval minastam, but if we don't know, if they accepted her or not, noaheg b'chol makom, we're going to tell you, the Ramah says that the takana of the Chem of Rabbeinu Gershom is applicable in every single place. Fine. Now that we know that, now that we know you have places where you're allowed to marry more than one wife, and places where you're not allowed to marry more than one wife. So let me make it a little bit more simpler. Let's say, I'm just going to give this example. Let's say America, right? Or let's say Queens or New York, doesn't matter. Let's say Queens and Dubai. I'm just going to use these two separate locations. In Queens, you're not allowed to marry more than two wives. In Dubai, you're allowed to marry more than two wives. Okay? Let's just say that the takana in Queens, we over here, the custom is not to have it. Everybody accepted the custom that you're not allowed to marry more than two wives. This is Queens. But in Dubai, they never accepted the Chem Rabbeinu Gershom, and you're allowed to marry more than two wives. Now, I want you guys to have that in mind. Because now the next case, we're going to have to look into your day for this. He says, Ve'ayin Siman Reish Chavchet, B'Yoredei, look into Siman Reish Chavchet, which is 228, in Yoredei, in the Yoredei edition. This is going to be in Halacha Chavtet, and on Halacha 29. Im alach mimokum, here we go. Im alach mimokum shenahagu lahachmir, lemakum shenahagu lahakel. What happens if the husband went from a place where the custom was to be stringent, not to marry two women, to a place where the custom is to be lenient and to marry two women? Let me go back to the Queens and the Dubai case. If the makom in Queens is to be stringent and not to allow you to marry more than one wife, you were living here. Now you want to go ahead and now you want to move to Dubai. Can you go ahead and get yourself another wife in Dubai? You're going with her. Taking your wife and you're going with her. Can you take another wife on top of your original wife in Dubai? So he says, in order to know this halacha, he says, go look into Siman Reish Chavchet in your day in Halacha Chavtet. And that's what we're going to do right now. Let's see the halacha inside first. All right, so let me just read this one more time. V'ayin Siman Reish Chavchet Siv Chavtet. Look into Siman Reish Chavchet Siv Chavtet. B'Yoredei in Yoredei. Im alach me'makom shenahagu lahachmir lemakom shenahagu lahakel. If you went from a place that the custom is to be stringent, not to marry more than one wife, to a place where the custom is to be lenient, to marry more than one wife, what's going to be the halacha? Let's see the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Reish Chavchet in Halacha Chavtet. Okay, this is the Yoredei edition. For those people that really want to understand the beauty of learning Torah, whenever you learn Torah, or whenever you learn, let's say, Yalkut Yosef, or Kaf HaChaim, or Ben Ish Chai, or Chacham Ovadia, or other Rishonim, you always want, I'm just trying to see if I could get a book over here. Okay, let me just take 1 second. Let me just take Yalkut Yosef 1 second. I can take any book, I just want to see something. Okay. Let's do this. I want to just try to stay away from the Sephardi for a second. Let's go to an Ashkenazic sefer. I have a sefer in front of me, which is called the Rivavot Ephraim. It's actually a few books. How many books this is? It's a lot. If anybody wants to get their hands on it, it's a very big, beautiful book. I think about at least 10 or 12 books. Okay? Now, Rivavot Ephraim, I got to tell you the name, Rabotai. I just know the name of the back. I just want to make sure I say it good. Rabbi Ephraim Greenblatt. Now understand, Rabotai, who's Rabbi Ephraim Greenblatt? He was the right-hand student of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. Now, you guys have to just see how they write. humongous Talmidei Chachamim. Now I want to just show you something. The reason why I want to take this. When you go ahead and you start learning, right? If you're a lamdan, if you're one that learns Torah, right? You're learning, right? I don't know, like say you're going to be reading it, and then for example he says, look into halachot of Shabbat, Siman Nun, whatever, right? I'm thinking Siman Nun, let me just see something over here. ולפי זה אם יתפלל בביתו אין יכול לומר שום יקום בו הפורקן וכן מוכח באור זרוע הגדול בהלכות שבת סימן נון. Okay, that's Or Zarua. There's a book. Now again, I don't know if you're going to be able to come across these books, but whenever you're learning, if you really want to know what it means to learn inside, whenever you're learning Torah, if you're able to get your hands on the books that they're quoting, you should always look into what they're saying over there. Very important. Again, this is why I emphasize very much that whenever you do halacha, try to do the Tur, the Beit Yosef, the Darkei Moshe, and only then the Shulchan Aruch, and then the Nosa Kelim, and then the Petchei Teshuva and the Beheitev, whatever you want to do after. That's not my problem. But once you do that, you have a foundation to understand any other halachot. And a lot of times, why am I telling you this? Because a lot of times, I want to just show you something over here. Right now, the Shulchan Aruch tells us over here, like this case. It says, go look into Siman Reish Chavchet, in Yoredeya, in Halacha Chavtet. If a person went from one place to another, if he's allowed to go ahead and get married in the second place where they're lenient with the Cherem or Rabbeinu Gershom. Now, I could skip it, but there's no point of skipping it. Why? Because the Beheitev is going to speak about it, the Petchei Teshuva is going to be speaking about it. So in order to better understand it, we have to do it inside. So this is one of the ways you should actually learn Torah. Even if you learn Torah, especially with the Talmid Chacham, and like you guys are learning and they quote a source. Look, it's one thing if you're able to understand what the rabbi is saying. Fine. But it's another thing where you're confused. Don't think Torah is hard. Just open the book to what they're quoting or go find it. And once you read it, you'll see how clear this is. Okay, it's only a matter of knowing what he's referring to. Okay. So now we're in Siman Reish Chavchet, in Siv Chavtet, in Yoredeya. The Shulchan Aruch begins, Yesh mi shomer, there's someone that wants to say, She'im kechal echad, if there's one community, one congregation, Asu haskama, they made an agreement, Becherem, with a cherem. Lemigader milta, they wanted to go ahead and they wanted to forbid something, they wanted to fence something out. They saw that the community is, if we're going to allow this to continue going, the community is going to go downhill. They're going to only do averos. So they made a cherem that nobody's allowed to do this. All right, we'll see. The Ramah is going to say. Now, so let's put it like this. If there was one community, they saw that in that community, let's say in Queens, they saw in that community that there is a problem with men, chas v'shalom, going with other women, cheating on their wives or getting second wives. So we in Queens, we made a takana. We made a ban. That's a nice word. We made a ban. That nobody, that's a cherem, that's what cherem means. We made excommunication, a ban. Nobody's allowed to marry more than one wife because we're having too many problems, too many complaints, wives are complaining, children getting, families are getting broken up, children are being left without fathers. So that community, they said, something, we all come to an agreement, we're making a ban. I'm giving an example. Now, what happens? Now, the people in Queens, let's say you had 10 families in Queens, that they were part of this ban, that you're not allowed to marry another woman, meaning on top of your original wife. However, these 10 families that were part of the big group of 1,000 families, these 10 families got up and they moved to Dubai. Now, in their mind, they're never coming back to Queens. They want to live in Dubai because it's beautiful over there. So, continues the Shulchan Aruch and it says, if this same problem is also there, they are obligated to behave with the ban or with this vow that they accepted upon themselves in their city, even though they're in Dubai. Meaning to say that these 10 couples that were in Queens and they were part of the ban and they accepted upon themselves now not to remarry another woman, now they move to Dubai, where over there we have the same problem. People do get remarried where there is not a problem. They're allowed to have more than one wife. Now they want to go ahead and they want to remarry another woman. They want to marry another wife on top of their wife. Over there we're going to tell you they are obligated to stick to the original ban that they accepted upon themselves when they were in Queens. So it comes out of it that these 10 couples that went to Dubai, these 10 men are going to be stuck the rest of their life with this one woman, unless they divorce, of course. So that's what he's telling us. So one more time. Yesh mi shomer, there's someone that wants to say, she'im kahal echad asu haskama, if there was one congregation or community that made an agreement, becherim, in a certain ban, limigdor milta, they wanted to fence a certain thing, like in our case, let's just say, getting married to two women, they saw it's getting out of hand. Ve'halchu kitzatam le'ir acheret ladur, and a few people from the Queens community went to the Dubai community to live there. Ve'en datam lachzor, in their minds, they're not coming back to Queens. If this breach of marrying more than one woman is found over there, they are obligated to keep the vow that they accepted upon themselves in the first city. That means all these people, the 10 couples, let's say, that went to Dubai, they're not allowed to get a second wife on top of their original wife. Ve'im avru, Rabotai, listen to this, but if they went ahead and they did transgress that ban, in this case, it's marrying another woman, because of that they're allowed to do it, hareihem avriyanim, they're considered to be sinners. Rabotai, there is a Gemara, please Hashem help me, there is a Gemara, just give me one second. I'm just thinking. Yes. Masechet Nedarim. I believe it's Masechet Nedarim, Rabotai. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's Masechet Nedarim. People don't know this. People, I'm telling you, Rabotai, we have to learn more halachot. We have to educate ourselves much, much more. Again, it's nice listening to stories. All these things are beautiful. Yeah, to get yourself inspired, to get yourself moving is fine. But halachot. In Masechet Nedarim, yeah, I believe it's Masechet Nedarim, almost 90% Belinada B'Zhat Hashem, I'm sure that is Masechet Nedarim. It says over there that if a person accepted upon himself a vow, for example, a person got inspired, he said, I have to learn Torah. He says, I'm going to do every single morning Be'ezrat Hashem. I'm saying Be'ezrat Hashem because I don't want it to be a vow. But he doesn't say that. He just says he's going to learn Mishnah every single morning for 5 minutes a day. Mishnah Yomi. That's what he said. Right? Rabotai, the Gemara says that the next day, when he gets up and he does the Mishnah Yomi, is he a tzaddik or is he a rasha? Try to answer that for a second. Tell me, what do you guys think? Is he a tzaddik or is he a rasha? Rabotai, listen to this beautiful Gemara. The Gemara says anybody who makes a neder, anybody who says that he's going to do something, even like learning, or he said he's going to donate money, and he don't use the words bili neder, or you don't use the word be'ezrat Hashem, the Gemara says, even if he's going to go and he's going to fulfill his vow, the Gemara says, rashahu, he's considered to be evil. It is better to do hatarat nidarim, according to this Gemara, than to go ahead and fulfill your vow. We learn from here never ever to make a vow. If you have to make a vow, if you have to give yourself a word, always say be'ezrat Hashem bili neder, with God's help, or say without a vow. Bili neder literally means without a vow. Very, very important. A person says to his wife, babe, I'm going to be home in 30 minutes. You're not home in 30 minutes. You should say be'ezrat Hashem bili neder, I'll be home. Because once you said 30 minutes, that in a way, your word is like saying a vow. So therefore you have to be very, very careful when you speak. It's not a joke, Rabotai. There was a case that There's a sefer that's called Achad Shalati. I do recommend people buy it. Actually, it's in English. And over there, it's by Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein Shlita. He brings down over there a case. There was a person that I'm just going to give some amount of number. There was a very big person, a very rich guy. He said to one of the people that were collecting for tzedakah, let's say his name was Rabbi so-and-so. So Joe said to Rabbi so-and-so, Rabbi, come to my house by 9 o'clock and I will give you a 100,000 check, Ezrat Hashem, whatever, that's what he said, right? $100,000 check. Again, I'm saying B'li Neder because I have to be very careful when I speak also. Now, what happened was, a week time passes. So Joe is waiting for Rabbi so-and-so to come to his house at 9 o'clock in the morning to pick up the check. At 8:55 in the morning, somebody walks in to collect, because he knows that this guy gives that money, comes to collect money. So Joe gives this tzedakah guy, he gives him the check of $100,000. So the guy leaves as nothing happened. The other rabbi so-and-so, which was supposed to come 9 o'clock, walks in 9 o'clock sharp. And he says to Joe, Joe, I'm here, how are you? Thank you so much. I'm looking very much to working with you. I'm so thankful that you guys are helping us, your company, and so and so. So Joe looks at him and says, who are you? He says, what do you mean, who am I? You told me to come 9 o'clock. I'm Rabbi so-and-so. He says, yeah, but I just gave a $100,000 check to the guy right before you. So Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein goes into a whole thing, but I'm just going to tell you the bottom line. If we can't find that other tzedakah guy, for whatever reason, is Joe obligated to go back and give another 100,000 to Rabbi so-and-so because he said to him, come 9 o'clock? The answer is yes. Joe has to go and write another $100,000 check because he made a vow. But when you say something, you have to keep your word. That's why whenever you speak, you have to be very careful. Very careful. Be'ezrat Hashem, B'li Neder, yeah, especially the women today, they don't understand. When are you going to be home? When are you, she says, I'm going to cook this, and then she doesn't cook it. That's a problem. She should say Be'ezrat Hashem. Bottom line, whenever you're speaking, always teach yourself, your family, people around you to use the lashon of Be'ezrat Hashem or B'li Neder, which means to say, God willingly or without a vow. Even your own children at a young age, they promise, they swear, they don't even know what they're saying. So as parents, we have to make sure that we show disapprovements with that. We're not approving their behavior. You got to educate them that this is wrong right from the beginning. Okay. Now, Rabotai, back to our halacha. So we see over here that this guy, even though these 10 couples that moved to Dubai, since they accepted upon themselves the ban in Queens, they could never get remarried again in Dubai. Continues, and if they do get remarried, harehim avriyanim, they're considered to be sinners. That's why I brought the Gemara. That's why I brought the Gemara Masechet Nedarim. That a person, even by Rabotai over here, is saying that if you transgress your vow, because the vow was not to do it. I'm talking about in a vow where you're gonna do, where you make a neder to go ahead and do it. When you do it, the Gemara says you are a rasha. It's better to go ahead and nullify do hatarat nidarim, to undo your vow, than to actually fulfill your word. Okay. Rabotai continues the Ramah, and this is what we want to see right now. V'lachen, therefore, comes the Ramah and he says, Mi sheyatza mimakom shenoheg cherem Rabbeinu Gershom. If somebody left the place where they were accustomed to keeping the Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom, shelo lisa beit nashim, not to marry two women, let's say in our case Queens, limakom, and now they went to another place, let's say Dubai, shemikalim, that were lenient to marry more than one wife, asur lo lisa beit nashim, he's not allowed to marry two women. This is the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Reish Chavchet in Halacha Chavtet. So let's go over here. Guys, I do want to also keep this at a certain time. Let me just see something. This Behait is pretty long. Guys, just give me 1 second. Let me see the time. And then we'll get to work. Okay, 39 minutes. Wow. Okay, Rabotai, let's do this. You know something? let's begin the Pitchi Teshuvah with the Berhetiv. I will conclude over here, and Bilineder Be'ezrat Hashem, in the following class, once we start doing the Berhetiv, then we'll continue with the footnotes that I made on the screen for the Berhetiv. I could do the Berhetiv, it's just going to take a lot of time. Rabotai, let's just digest, little by little. We'll get it done, Be'ezrat Hashem. I want to be able to learn at the same time, but I also want the information to be absorbed. Fine. Let's just begin the Pitchi Teshuvah. The Pitchi Teshuvah, so again, next time when we begin this class, in part 14b, we're going to, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to jump straight into the Berhetiv. I'm going to start with the Pitchi Teshuvah now, and then we're going to go straight into the Berhetiv, and that's where we're going to continue. The Pitchi Teshuvah in Od Yud Chet says, Shenahagu lahachmir. Right, we saw on top in the Shulchan Aruch, where he said to us, Ve'ayin Siman Reish Chavtet Beyordeya, De'im alach me'makom shenahagu lahachmir. This is the Dibur HaMatchil, this is the beginning of the words of the Pitchi Teshuvah, Shenahagu lahachmir, Le'makom shenahagu lahakil, to the place where they were lenient. So the Pitchi Teshuvah tells us, before we could even understand the Pitchi Teshuvah, he says, Ein Berhetiv Sivkatan Chav Gimel. Look into the Berhetiv in Sivkatan Chav Gimel, which is Sivkatan 23. B'Shem Ram Matar'ini. Says, go look over there in the name of Ram Matar'ini, and then we could understand what's going to happen over here. Now, when we go to Berhetiv in Sivkatan Chav Gimel, where he says also, Mimakum Shenahagu lahachmir. Now the Berhetiv, after we did the Halacha and the Shulchan Aruch, look how beautiful the Berhetiv is. Hashem, I love you. Look how beautiful it is, Rabotai. The Sham over there in Sivkatan, I'm sorry, that's Sivkatan, in Siv Chav Chet, in the Haga, in the Ramah, Nidba'er, it's explained, the En Yachol Lisa Shtei Nashim. A person is not able to go ahead and marry two women. Shechen Rabbeinu Gershom Ena Makom Gorem, Ela Akarkavta Digavre. The Chen Rabbeinu Gershom is not going on the place. The place is not what causes you to go ahead and forbid you from marrying two women. It's not the place that if I live in that place, that's why it's asur. He says rather it's going on the head of the person himself. Now, how are you going to understand this Ramah? Now, if we wouldn't do that halacha over there, we would never understand this Berhetiv. Because this Berhetiv says, look over there in the Ramah, where it's explained that you're not allowed to marry two women. And he's telling that the Chen Rabbeinu Gershom is not based off where you live, but rather it goes on the person himself. Now that we did Siman Reish Chav Chet, and Siv Katan, and Siv Chav Tet, in Yoredeya, we understand why. Because over there we explained that if they accepted the ban in Queens, for example, and they moved to Dubai, what did we say? That they're not allowed to get married. One second, but the place is not where there's no harm of Rabbeinu Gershom in Dubai. It's only in Queens. You're right. It's not the place where I live that forbids me to get married. Comes the Ramah and he tells you it's actually, the way the Berhetiv is understanding the Ramah, it's actually the person, the Chen Rabbeinu Gershom is placed on the person.